Welcome to another day in the Matrix. This is Red Pill Podcast 188, the U.S. Selection Special. I hope you're all having a beautiful weekend wherever you are. Amazingly, there's a storm starting right now as immediately the moment that I started filming, so it must be a sign. Anyways, I hope you're all having an amazing weekend so far. Appreciate and I'm grateful for every single one of you tuning in. We have a lot going on right now on the world stage. Also, the markets are getting pretty spicy this weekend leading into election week. So I will be addressing the markets very early on in this podcast, but we have a lot to talk about regarding the exoteric, everything from the obvious US selection and the upcoming FOMC meeting a little bit later into the week, and a very powerful October monthly close we just had. And I know a lot of people are looking at what's happening over the past couple days, but they're disregarding the power of that bi-monthly candle that we just had. So I will definitely be focusing on that when we get over to the altcoins and the charts. And today we're going to be actually reviewing Total 2 and Total 3. So that'll be altcoin market cap excluding Bitcoin, as well as altcoin market cap excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, just to kind of touch base on what's going on there, as well as Artificial Superintelligence Alliance. It used to be called Fetch AI. So be going over that. Crazy name. Also, Brett. Meme coin that you guys have been voting on quite a bit lately. So I guess I'll be checking that out to meet everyone's desires. And then we have Arc Block, Beam, and API3. So we have quite an episode ahead of us, and just get straight into things. But first and foremost, if you are new here to the Wolfpack, welcome. So great to have you here with us. If you've yet to get access to our Discord server, just go ahead and send me a direct message here on Patreon by clicking on my profile picture, and then you'll see a prompt show up that says send message to me, Waters Above. And then you can send me a direct message here on Patreon with your Discord username, and I will reply back as soon as possible with your Discord server invite. Please do not comment below or in any of the other posts here on Patreon, and please do not email me trying to get Discord access. You won't be able to get in that way. Just follow those instructions I just shared. Also, make sure to get relaxed, get calm and comfortable. My environment looks like chaos right now, but I hope you're getting comfortable and relaxed. Grab yourself a cup of coffee or tea if it's a little bit earlier wherever you are, or maybe a glass of wine or beer or any beverage of your choice. Now let's get started, shall we? And I'm sure many of you received the notification, but for those who haven't, my new full-length presentation, Black Moon Decoded, is available now here on Patreon. It's the post right below this one, so it's super easy to find. And just wanted to make a correction, which I'm sure most of you already knew about, but during like the 45 minute mark in that presentation, I slipped and I said water dragon by mistake, and I meant to say wood dragon, which I'm sure most of you assumed what I meant and knew it was an honest mistake, but just wanted to share that here anyways to avoid any confusion. 1964 was in fact the year of the wood dragon, and here in 2024 we are also in the year of the wood dragon. And like I said many times at the beginning of that presentation, Kamala Harris is a wood dragon, and she was born in 1964, and that ties into the script of her being in this election, especially since she's only in the position for running for president because Joe Biden decided to not run for a second term, and he handed her the baton, as you're all well aware. Also, another thing to mention about that Black Moon Decoded is that in regards to the Super Bowl, I am not saying that the Baltimore Ravens will win Super Bowl 59 this upcoming February in 2025. What I did want to show you was just to expose the pattern of them being in Super Bowls for the Dragon Year season. And that's why I said I wouldn't be surprised if they made it to the Super Bowl. And how even back in 1964, speaking of the year of the Wood Dragon, the team that made it to the NFL championships before they even had the Super Bowl was the Baltimore Colts. Again, another connection to Baltimore and Maryland. So that's why I picked those two out of the four teams regarding this upcoming Super Bowl, being the Baltimore Ravens and the Washington Commanders, both tied back to Washington, D.C., the city of Baltimore, and the state of Maryland, which you all know is the home of the White House where the president lives. So there's another theme there tied into this U.S. selection. And the other two teams that I mentioned were the Lions and the Chiefs, which perhaps I'll build on more when it transitions into the playoffs, but I cannot promise a full comprehensive Super Bowl 59 decode in early 2025 because I am launching Waters Above University at the beginning of 2025, and that's my priority. And that's also the life-changing opportunity I'm investing my heart and soul into, not sports, which I'm sure most of you resonate with. Now, before I get into this selection special, I want to immediately address the crypto market, which is why I have this chart pulled up right now. And I want to head over to this chart right here because Bitcoin is correcting off the recent retest of all-time highs, and this aligned with the new moon. And what we've been pretty much seeing all year is an immediate dump after the new moon. You'll see this chart is super easy to understand. We're usually out of this corrective phase by the second week of the month, meaning it's likely we bottom by this upcoming week, which is election week. And we also have November 6th, the day after the election, which will be the start of a Federal Reserve FOMC meeting, and Fed Chair Powell will speak this upcoming Thursday on November 7th. So of course we should expect volatility for both of those events and likely find our bottom during this upcoming week, which is the 45th week of the year, November 4th through November 10th. And one thing to point out specifically about this upcoming Thursday, November 7th, that I want to get into when we're talking about the next time Chair Powell will speak is it's connected to Bitcoin's all-time high, the original all-time high date of this year, which was the 13th of March. And it's because these days are 239 days apart, and March 13th is the day leaving 293 days left in the year. So that's the anagram of the numbers 2, 3, and 9. And remember, on March 13th, it was the only day that Bitcoin still so far to this day has closed a daily candle at 73K, and it was on the 73rd day of the year. And this number 73 is powerful because it's the 21st prime number. We've gone through this, how this is a connection back to Saturn 21. Saturn is Satoshi. I break this down very thoroughly in my crypto decoding blueprint, which is part of my decoding mastermind. And like I shared in that Black Moon Decoded, I will have the Trinity Masterclass coming soon. It will be added this month to that decoding mastermind, so I'm really excited to get that out. And I also gave you guys a sneak peek into that and a early Black Friday sale. So if you are interested in Black Friday this year, I have started that already here for Patreon supporters. I'll remind myself later to put it in the description below. It's the biggest discount that'll be available. It'll be bigger than the one that's publicly released in 3 weeks, so you'll be getting Black Friday discount now, early, plus an even bigger discount than what your current Patreon promo code is, and even bigger than what the public Black Friday discount will be. So I really am grateful and I appreciate all of your support. And if you are interested, this is probably the perfect time to invest in that decoding mastermind, because I'm about to add that new module to it, that whole Trinity Masterclass, and it already includes my crypto decoding blueprint for free. So an amazing amount of value before the price will go up at the start of December. So let's get back into this regarding the code. We were talking about this connection to the 21 and Saturn and Satoshi, and there's so many 7 connections I want to break down for you really quick. So I already went through the 73. It's the 21st prime number. 21 esoterically is 7 plus 7 plus 7. That's 777, the jackpot number. And we're talking about the number 73 as well. When you mirror 73, you have 37. 37 esoterically is 3 sevens, 777. It's the jackpot number again, meaning the number 7 is the most important here with regards to this code. And we're talking about the 7th day of this month of November, and it has a 17 standard date numerology, which is the 7th prime number. It's really important to realize this. Also, 239 is the 52nd prime number. This ties back to cryptocurrency and gematria, as you can see right here, and 5 plus 2 equals 7. Also, these two dates that we're talking about, the Bitcoin highest daily close date to November 7th, coming up very soon, the day of the next FOMC where Fed Chair Powell will speak. These are 34 weeks apart. 3 plus 4 equals 7. And getting back to this chart, you can see that pretty much we have been bottoming before the 7th day of the month the whole year. Last month we did push down for October 10th, but we were immediately bought back up, and then we went on to break out further. So that is, we can call it an anomaly, but ultimately what that has a lot to do with was the fact that this was eclipse season, okay? And we're pushing out of eclipse season right now. We have Saturn about to go direct very soon, and I've already thoroughly decoded November 15th for you guys, so I don't want to waste any of your time with that today. Again, go back to the Black Moon Decoded and take notes, because I thoroughly give you everything you need to know about that, and I want to make today's podcast something new for you. But I find this to be very important. The fact that we're correcting right now the same way we normally do, right tied to every new moon, pretty much for the entire year. And we tend to bottom into the 6th or so day. And yes, we do have this anomaly last month, but it was negligible, like literally. We're talking about just a micro double bottom and a bullish W pattern that played out bullish with further continuation. And this whole setup is insanely bullish, guys. We have our lowest low in the cycle, higher low, and then we have our high, pivot high, and then we even broke higher and back tested our current all-time high. So we got through all of these highs here recently. And now the one thing to say though is this was incredibly unhealthy, just how quick we did it. So we're having a unhealthy correction, but welcome to crypto, right? Anybody who's been in this market for at least a year, you know that this is just another day in the matrix. This is how it goes. So just wanted to cover this early in today's podcast to calm some nerves, because we're used to this here. If you've been a part of the Wolfpack for a while, I've been sharing a lot of data about these new moon dumps. So it's just a healthy reminder. 6 out of the past 7 months started with a corrective phase. It's clear data. So hope that gets you all calm again in the matrix. And then let's get into this selection special. And of course, we'll cover the charts thoroughly later in today's podcast. Don't worry. I do want to put a lot of emphasis right now on the charts. And I know my new YouTube video I put out, I didn't cover that as much, but it's really because I'm just trying to be as honorable as possible right now. And I know there's a lot of how do I say this? Just drama and influencer vibes going on right now in crypto. And that's a good sign, guys. You know why? Because that's coupled with this. You're going to see more O faces than you've ever seen. You're going to see more clickbait than you've ever seen. And I wanted to make that last YouTube video about how do I simplify what changed my life as an investor? And I gave the 2 rules. I applied them directly to real world situations, and it's raw truth. And I know that not many people want to hear that right now. They want market updates, but I think that this was needed. It was a needed video to put out. But we have greed in the market again. There's a quick pullback right now. A lot of the people that were FOMOing into this greed, specifically for Bitcoin, are getting liquidated right now. What I would recommend to people is now is not the time to play around with leverage. We're heading into an election. This is a very volatile time for markets in general. I would just stick to a basic investing strategy. And most altcoins right now are super slammed. Like they're on a discount. So there's no point of fucking around with leverage when you could be putting a small amount into some speculative altcoins, into venture capital positions, and benefiting from, way more of a benefit on those moves than staring at charts on the 5 minute chart on 50x leverage, hoping to win one trade and then lose nine others. I am a professional trader, so I can handle these types of things, but what I've realized is not everyone has the nerves and the emotional control and all of those things, and you need that if you want to trade with leverage. So this is why I don't recommend that to people. The process that I recommend is learn how to read these charts first, and then if you want to step up your game, consider the advanced trading course that I created, because it's a short and sweet, comprehensive way of going from just maybe having this very volatile, gut emotional type trading vibe to something that's a little bit more standardized, has some rules, has a checklist for you to go through, and the ability to have humility. Because when it comes to trading actively, you do need to cut your losses at some point. You do need to stomach going through some hard, tough lessons learned. And the best way to do it is safely. So in that advanced trading course, I put a lot of emphasis on people using paper trading accounts and not even playing around with leverage until you're really like 6, 7, 8 months deep in practicing trades. And what happens a lot of the time is these newer investors, they jump into crypto and they're immediately trading 5x leverage, and it's insane. They're losing everything. And that's really not the smartest way to go. So let's get back to this. We need to address the elephant in the room and get it out of the way at the start. Based on the decodes that I've done leading up to this new release of the Black Moon Decoded, and especially after concluding the prep of this new presentation, my connections show that Donald Trump will become the 47th president of the United States. And what's important to know about this number 47 is that it's the 15th prime number. And as I mentioned in the decode, we have November 5th, the day of the election. It's landing on a Tuesday. That's Martes. That's the day of Mars. Mars gives you 15 and the mirror number of 1551 in Gematria. And also this day is a 15 standard date numerology. Again, this ties back to the number 47 because 47 is the 15th prime number. Now, Trump equals 47 in a reverse cipher, pretty powerful stuff. And we also have the 24 and the 25 transitioning from the 2024 year into the 2025 year. Just one of many takes that I have, but again, that is thoroughly decoded in the recent release, the Black Moon Decoded. Then we have the fact that this 25 synchronizes with not only our upcoming year, but it synchronizes with the current Hebrew year, 5,785, reducing to 25. We also have Kamala Harris, and this is where it gets really interesting because she gives us 49. And this ties to the 49ers, who are from San Francisco, and they just lost a Super Bowl this year, in the year of the dragon. She is from Oakland, California, which is the San Francisco Bay Area. And they lost this game on the first day of the year of the Wood Dragon, which is the year that she was born in 1964. That was the last year of the Wood Dragon. She's also the 49th vice president, and she became the 49th vice president during the election year where the 49ers lost against the Chiefs, the first matchup in 2020, Super Bowl 54. So it's perfectly synchronized. And remember, this recent Super Bowl, the Chiefs and 49ers went into overtime, as you can see right there. And the 49ers lost by 22 points. Well, they lost with 22 points. And the number 22 is the master builder. It's the master destroyer number. And because this was the second Super Bowl to ever go into overtime and the 49ers lost by 22 points, you have the 222 code. Some would call this an angel number, putting more emphasis on the duality at play here regarding the number 2. And if we take from Election Day of the 5th of November and we connect it to Donald Trump's next birthday next year, you're going to see that they are 222 days apart. Pretty fascinating how his birthday is tied to all of this. And another significant connection I have to this recent Super Bowl, which was on the 11th of February this year, it was on the first day of the dragon. As I said, dragon year started on the 10th on a new moon. And when we connect Super Bowl Sunday this year to the 5th of November, the day of this upcoming election, including the end date, it gives you 269 days. This is where it starts getting wild. So please have a pen and paper ready, because what I'm about to show you is something that you've probably never seen before, and it's another way of looking at the code that'll take you in a whole different rabbit hole. Okay, I don't want to talk about it too much. Let's get straight into it. We have the number 269. This is the 57th prime number, and the day of Super Bowl Sunday was a 57 double-digit date numerology, and the day before the election, which is tomorrow, is the day leaving 57 days left in this year. So it's the natural transition, the encroaching day moving into election day. You would call it election day eve naturally. So we have a bunch of these 57s, right? Now let's keep in mind the number 57 and head over to the periodic table. And we have this 57th element, lanthanum, which derives from the Greek lanthanion, meaning to lie hidden. It literally is like another way of saying esoteric. And when we look at the 57th element, lanthanum, it has the atomic mass of 138, just like Donald Trump has 138 in his code. And these two dates we're talking about are 269 days apart. Well, if you take 2 times 69, you're going to get 138. So 138 is double the number 69. And the guy who actually discovered this element, I'm going to show you his name real quick right here. I'll copy and paste it. Carl Gustav Mosander. It's giving you the 69 in his code as well. Remember, 2 69s equals 138. The guy who discovered this, and that 138 is right there in the atomic mass tied back to this particular element, which were originally deriving from connections to not only this Super Bowl, but the day leading into this election, and the fact that the days between those two dates is the 57th prime number. So this started to blow my mind, as it probably is for you. Then I decided to take it one step further, and this is something I don't do too often unless I see all these connections lining up the way that it has. And then I'll go ahead and think, well, we're working with Greek right now, the Greek word lanthanion. So let's do Greek isopsophy. And here is the word in Greek, lanthanion, and it equals 206. So this becomes the number 26 when you remove the 0 using the rules of numerology. Then when you go back to lanthanum and you have the atomic mass, which we're talking about the 138, take 1 plus 3 plus 8 plus 9 plus 5 for all the numbers that are here in this sequence. And you're going to get 26. Just like this word in Greek isopsophy gives you the 26 code. So we have a direct connection between these two. And now we go a little bit further. 26, the number we're talking about, esoterically is 2 6s. This becomes the power number 66. And Donald John Trump gives you the 66 code in Chaldean. Also, speaking of the rival and the matchup for this same election we're talking about, Kamala Harris gives you the 26 in Chaldean. So we have a balancing of energy here. Like I said many times during the Black Moon Decoded, whoever wins this presidency is the tiebreaker regarding the energetics. And I'm talking about for everything: Hebrew year, Gregorian year, Chinese zodiac. When you're looking at it with gematria, when you're adding in the periodic table, I mean, it's everything is making it so neck and neck. Now, that shouldn't be shocking because everything lately has been close. Look at the last Super Bowl we just had. And I'll break this down further. But this went into overtime, and it's a very big reason why I kept bringing that up during my Black Moon Decoded. So this is what makes it quite difficult to decode, because both Trump and Harris are perfectly tied in the energetics that make up this selection. And when I say energetics, I'm not just speaking from their angle, I'm speaking from the global energetics too. How much chaos has happened this year, man. I mean, it's unbelievable. I'm not even shocked anymore when I hear there's so many crazy things happening that it barely even makes it onto the news. Like what just happened in Cuba. It's like a humanitarian crisis and nobody really heard about it. You probably only heard about it if you look at X. And there's still more and more going on right now. So, when we're talking about this upcoming winner of the selection, it will be whoever becomes the 47th president of the United States. And I want to show you how close this is, again, by the code, because we have Republican giving you 47, and we also have Democrat giving you the 47. Just crazy. And this number 47 ties back to 22 on the periodic table, because the 22nd element, titanium, has the 47 atomic mass. Titanium being the 22nd element, named after the Titans. And let me show you. Remember, before we were talking about 26. Titanium gives you 26, tied to both Trump and Kamala. And like I mentioned earlier, the number 22, which we're talking about titanium right now, that's the master builder and the master destroyer number. That's how much the 49ers scored in the last game they just lost, tied to duality. And when we look at titanium giving you the 107, this 107, watch, it ties back into silver right here. 107, titanium, by the code. And what we're talking about is who will become the 47th president. You literally cannot make this up. All the numbers are synchronized like a symphony. You gotta love the code. So returning back to the Super Bowl theme, the Chiefs won this year on the first day of the Year of the Dragon, and this happened during this election year. We're going to be tying back in the Chiefs by the code. They have the 25, and we're talking about this particular year moving into what will be the inauguration time frame, January 20th, I believe that's the date. That's in the year of 25, and we just showed you before the Hebrew year 5785 adds up to 25. This will be the year of the snake. Let me show you the code here. We have snake giving you the 50. We have Chiefs giving you 50 in the same cipher. But remember, this election is all dragon energy. But this is, again, another reason why the Chiefs being in the next Super Bowl wouldn't be shocking. And I'll touch on that at a later time. But also, we have Kansas City Chiefs by the code giving you the 49, just like they beat the 49ers. But we now have the 49 code for them too. Again, a big reason why that last Super Bowl was a quote-unquote close call. And that's the main reason I made scenario number 1 for the election, the close call scenario of going into overtime like the year 2000 between Bush and Al Gore. I made that my main scenario for that reason. In that selection, we didn't have results until December 13th after Gore conceded the election the day after the Supreme Court gave the state of Florida to Bush. So keep that in mind regarding Florida, because that's probably the most associated with Trump besides his home state of New York. But my intuition tells me that they will not put any emphasis on Florida this time around. I don't think there will be any issues for this election with Florida. They're going with Trump, and the apex predator knows they can't reuse the same exact script because that wouldn't be fun for them. They need to spice things up. And I think the real gem for that 2000 election was the fact that Al Gore's home state was Tennessee. And on January 30th, 2000, during that election year, there was Super Bowl 34. Let me quickly bring this up for you. And in Super Bowl 34, the Tennessee Titans lost against the St. Louis Rams. And remember, before we were just talking about titanium and that connection to the number 47 and the upcoming 47th president. So this is amazing. The fact that the team that lost the Super Bowl is the same place where it's connected to Al Gore, and he lost that election. Whether it's real or fake or scripted, it doesn't matter. The results were in, and that's the way it went. It's the same thing with rigged sports. Doesn't matter what you think or what fan of what team you are and your emotions. The New World Order does whatever it wants to do, and it'll be the same thing for this selection that's coming up. So consider this year the San Francisco 49ers. Again, they lost before the election, and Kamala is literally from Oakland, which is the San Francisco Bay Area. This could very well be a big clue for us, because in 2000, regarding the election, we're decoding for that year of the dragon, just like we're in now. We had the home state representative team, Tennessee Titans, connected to Al Gore. Tennessee Titans lost that Super Bowl. Al Gore lost that election. And my scenario number 2 is the landslide victory concept, which I'd only see happening by electoral votes, most likely not in popular votes. And this scenario, in my opinion, is less likely than scenario number 1. And then we have scenario number 3, my final scenario. This would be the passing of Joe Biden before the inauguration. So that would be before January 20th, 2025, which is actually still during the year of the dragon, by the way. So keep that in mind. The fact that this upcoming inauguration will be dragon energy as well. And in scenario number 3, when I revealed it during the Black Moon Decoded, I mentioned that if they really wanted to spice it up, then they'd have delayed results with Biden passing during that time frame, momentarily making Kamala president, and then we'd have a wacky situation on our hands. Or imagine Trump wins and then Biden passes before inauguration. She still becomes president momentarily. And then again, a wacky situation on our hands, like super, super wacky. So this would be like what Gerald Ford said in a press conference back in 1989. I'll actually repost that clip soon on my Instagram. So make sure to follow over there at Waters Above. Spell it above without the O. I have a lot of amazing material and art that I'm posting over there, so definitely make sure to check it out. I think you'll love what I have going on because it's very much different from what's going on everywhere else. But this scenario number 3 that I just mentioned is not my main focus, although of course I am entertaining the idea, hence why I picked it to be within my 3 scenarios, but it's why I ranked it number 3 for this upcoming election. And also to answer the question, why don't my 3 scenarios include a plain vanilla Kamala Harris or Trump win immediately following Election Day? Well, it's because those are the 2 most standard ways that a face-off between 2 individuals would go, right? So I am sharing the 3 scenarios that would be the spiced up versions, you know? And in regards to Kamala winning, I do not think it can be by a landslide, like I have in my scenario number 2. If she was to win, it would be by electoral votes and perhaps losing by the popular vote. And that would be exactly how Trump won his first election, going against Hillary, also a female. So Trump is facing a female twice in this script, once in 2016 against Hillary Clinton, and then again now with Kamala, which to me was a close connection to the 2 times that the Chiefs went against the 49ers in the Super Bowl and beat them both times, in Super Bowl 54 and the recent one, Super Bowl 58. And now let's just kind of break this down a little more. For Super Bowl 54, the Chiefs were actually, they won by a decent amount at the end of when all was said and done, 31-20. And the Chiefs were actually losing, though, that game until the 4th quarter. The 49ers were up 20-10 until the 4th quarter. And then in the final quarter, the Chiefs came back to win, scoring 21 points in that final quarter alone. So From the onlooker's perspective, the 49ers looked ahead leading into that final moment, but the fourth quarter was all that mattered. So we could kind of perceive this as the same concept as the popular vote compared to the electoral votes. Same situation with the first Trump win back in 2016. And remember, Trump's first year as president started in 2017 after the inauguration in January that year. And the team that won the Super Bowl for the 2017 season was the Eagles. This was their first and only Super Bowl win to date. One second, let me pull this up. And here we go. No, it's the following one. We're having fun here. I believe this was the second highest scoring Super Bowl in history, by the way, like 1 point less than one other Super Bowl. I forgot it, but another like twos situation, you know, we were talking about the two Super Bowls that went into overtime, and this was the second highest scoring Super Bowl, both involving the Patriots. Interesting, because they won the first Super Bowl that ever went into overtime, and then they lost this Super Bowl, which is the second highest scoring Super Bowl ever. Probably unimportant, but I'm just bringing that up. So we have the first season of the NFL where Trump is president. The Eagles won the Super Bowl for that season, and that was their only Super Bowl win to date. And the Eagles are symbolic of Hermes or Mercury, and also the nation's first capital. And the following Super Bowl the Eagles were in, they lost against the Chiefs. So it was it Super Bowl 57? Yes. God, I can't believe I even remember this stuff. I don't even watch sports. Anyway, so we have Super Bowl 57. It was a very close game. The Kansas City Chiefs came back to win in the fourth quarter again. So they have this theme about them where they keep winning at the very end. Again, rigged sports. So I actually thoroughly decoded this Super Bowl. It's available here within the Patreon exclusive posts, so feel free to check that out if you like. I went with the Chiefs that year because of the connection to Doug Williams, the quarterback for the Redskins in the late 80s, I believe. It was like 88. Again, a dragon year. And a connection to the Trail of Tears and the Indian Removal Act around the same time as the formation of Yale's Skull and Bones Secret Society. And this game was for the 2022 season. It was in 2023. I just brought up Skull and Bones, the 223, removing the 0. You mirror that, you have 322, and that's the number of Skull and Bones. So the Chiefs won pretty much all three of their Super Bowls with Patrick Mahomes, with like comebacks in the final moments. And I think that's symbolic. I think the Eagles losing Super Bowl 57 was scripted for Trump losing his last election against Biden, the same as the Eagles were scripted to win the Super Bowl after Trump won the first time in 2016, becoming president in 2017, and the Eagles win for the 2017 NFL season. So you see the script here. But for me, it still comes back to the rematch of this year between the Chiefs and the 49ers, with the first game happening leading up to the 2020 election that Biden won, making Kamala the 49th president after the 49ers lost the 49 vice president, excuse me. This is a lot of code to talk about all at once, but she became the 49th vice president after the 49ers lost the Super Bowl, and her hometown is Oakland, California, in the San Francisco Bay Area. And here she is 4 years later running for president in the same year the 49ers also lost the Super Bowl, again to the same team that lost during the year she becomes the 49th vice president. All happening in the year of the Wood Dragon for this particular year. She was born in 1964. Last year of the Wood Dragon was 64. The mirror of 64 is 46, which is the year Trump was born. And guess what year the San Francisco 49ers were established and played their first season? 1946. Literally, the 49ers became a team the year Trump was born. And for the 1988 season, which I covered in the Decode, the 49ers won a Super Bowl during that year of the Dragon. It was Super Bowl 23, and it was on January 22nd, 1989, which was also still during the year of the Dragon. So as you can see, sports are rigged, and utilizing Chinese zodiac as a part of our decoding system is mind-blowing because so many think that the enemy sign matters, which I think I need to bring up right now. You might hear sometimes in other decoding communities how the dog being the enemy of the dragon is a negative for anyone who's a dog year or anything that was created during a dog year. Well, the San Francisco 49ers, who were founded in 1946, the year of the dog, they won Super Bowl 23 during the year of the dragon. And it wasn't just the NFL season during the year of the dragon, it was also the Super Bowl itself was in the year of the dragon. So what's also amazing is they were going against a team that had their first season in the year of the monkey, which is a match to the dragon, and yet they lost against their enemy sign. So I'm bringing this up so that when you decode, you're more careful with making those assumptions because there's so much more to this system than just the exoteric information you find on Wikipedia. And I'm only bringing this up again because so many come to me where they're like, I heard the dog is the enemy for this year and you're investing in Dogecoin. And it's just like, you gotta dig deeper, guys. Dig deeper. Be playful with this whole decoding thing. Don't make it dogmatic. No pun intended, maybe. No pun intended. I don't know. So the fact that something was created during that dog year and it was still successful in the dragon year, it's clear. Now, I bring this up because Trump is a dog year and Kamala is a dragon year, and their years mirror each other. You have 46 and 64, and remember, Biden is currently the 46th president. So energetically, this is truly a tiebreaker. Hence why I think the apex predator will use all this pent-up energy on the world stage to make this selection as dramatic as possible, making both sides feel like they absolutely won with certainty. Meanwhile, they're just accumulating more and more prana every second that passes. And the apex predator is utilizing artificial intelligence to rapidly sift through incoming data to determine their next chess move. The whole next week is going to be a shocking display of human obedience, and simultaneously you'll see people act in ways that you've never seen them act before, all because of this selection. So to wrap this decode up, please know I am not concerned about who becomes the talking heads of nations. I'm focused on my life and my purpose and how I could be the most useful to my people to make my greatest impact on this earth realm while I visit here. I aim to be useful, not used. I know my mission, I'm clear in my heart and my vision, and perhaps that inspires people along the way. But I do not have any desire to change anyone's mind or change their path. I believe you should always do what resonates with you most. And at this exact moment, every 4 years, I remind myself that people need a team to be on. And the exoteric blue side or red side is how humans choose to divide themselves. And although that's not my game to play, I need to allow others to play it because that's their journey. So there's no judgment here. But all I know is once I stopped believing in the power of politics and I started to realize my power within is when my world changed. Before, I was waiting around for someone else to change the world for me. And I had to come to the realization that no one is here to save me. No one promised me that this journey throughout the matrix would be comfortable either. And when you commit to becoming a leader, you then have to experience real pain for once, and that's when you need to remind yourself that the pain leaves when it's done teaching you, and that's what makes you better. That's what makes you stand out. That's what makes you excel, and you refine more and more along the way. It's a beautiful thing, and I'm grateful for this life. And I do not wish harm on any of these politicians or so-called elites because what they do doesn't even exist in my bandwidth of frequency. I'm here to embody life, not control. And many of you are probably aware about this. The word government is comprised of two words, gobernare, which means to control, and mentis, and mente, it means the mind. This word government literally means mind control. And exoterically, who do they tell us runs the government? That's right, the president. So whoever wins, I'm not here to let institutions, establishments, and corporations control my mind. I and many of you have worked so hard to free your mind. Why allow the puppet masters to pull the strings on yours every 4 years then? Doesn't make sense, right? See, freedom is a state of consciousness, just like heaven and hell are states of consciousness. It's a choice we make with our thoughts and our beliefs. So just be mindful of your energy moving into this upcoming week. Stay pure, stay in your heart. Only use the mind for what it's there for. And don't abuse your thoughts. Otherwise, your thoughts will abuse you. So, you all know my take on what's coming up in a couple days. Now let's get into the charts. We can clearly see that there's been a buyback on this earlier correction, as it's been the case with all major moves to the downside. This is just absorption, which is insanely bullish. And remember, today is a Sunday. So the only thing that's happening right now is retail traders fucking around with a ton of leverage and bots, mostly bots. The market is closed right now. We have, in a couple of hours after this podcast is uploaded, we'll have the CME open up, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, for both Bitcoin and Ethereum. We will have also the Dow Jones opening up. We'll have precious metals opening up and Forex opening up. So we'll have a lot more volatility kicking in. And what we're seeing this morning is just a sign of liquidations from people who are trapped going long near the top, which is another reason why I warned about this earlier. Right now is not the time to be fucking around with leverage when you're about to move into price discovery. Even if you are on the winning side of the trade, it will just make you too nervous right now, and you don't want to be nervous at the easiest part of a bull run. You want to be calm and chill and relaxed. You want to be relaxed right now, guys. I am. I'm calm as can be, even with all the shit that's going on in the world. I've prepared for so long my investment thesis for this post solar eclipse time frame of early October. I'm not going to let anything get in the way of that. Okay? You work so hard on this investment thesis, building your portfolio, and then watch it all dwindle away because you get emotional leverage trading. Just don't do that right now. This is not the time to do it. All bear market back in 2022 and 2023, early 2023, then it was fine. But lately we've just been chopping. So unless you're a professional trader, this is where the market maker gets the most out of you regarding liquidations and just taking your money. So I'll get that out of the way, but I do think it's important to bring up because we're moving into the next phase of this bull run very soon. I've been telling you a billion times, it's all about November 15th. It's when Saturn retrograde is over, and between that November 15th time and the next Mercury retrograde, that's where I really expect expansion, and we have all the way up until February. I also went over this in the Black Moon Decoded as well, so definitely check that out. But now that we've brought up the first week of the month correction idea and you're already like calmer now that you could see what's going on, I just want to let you know early in this analysis that this is the level to keep in mind. So there is a potential push to 66, maybe even tail down into the high 65, but I think 66 is always a possibility, especially with this election coming up. But when we looked back at past elections, we didn't see a ton of volatility on the election day itself, but we did see an example of a correction leading into election week, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now. Also, this chart that I have here is pretty cool. It's showing you just a couple of ray lines, so like I'm keeping the lines as straight as I can diagonally, and I'm stretching them across the screen, and it's showing you this major support that we've had since the beginning of 2024, this large liquidation test after the August new moon, and then again over here the September new moon time frame, another washout, and then bouncing into the second layer right here, which we see an initial test over here, here, a break above back test to confirm support here, and then another back test last month on October 10th, and then broke out. But when we look at the left of it, we see all this resistance here. Okay, so these are two really solid rays. Again, with the third ray, this was your initial rejection with the Bitcoin ETF launch. This was breaking above and back testing, leading into our first push into new all-time highs. And then we have a bunch of play over here leading into the recent breakout. Same for the ray above it. And this is now kind of where we'll end this particular analysis. This ray right here has seemingly been a rejection point after we had the July correction right below 70K. So on the horizontal analysis, we did break a little higher, but the fact that we're getting rejected on this line here is a sign that this is a big level to break. Now, I'll be 100% transparent and honest. That's just price discovery. All that means is Bitcoin needs to break a new all-time high. That's all. If Bitcoin breaks into 75K and cements a daily close above 74K, whatever's just happened over the past couple days, this push up and this push down was purely the market maker liquidating leverage traders. That's all. And it's also visible when you look at Bitcoin dominance and when you look at the altcoins and how down they are comparison to where Bitcoin is. So the fact that Bitcoin is near all-time highs right now and altcoins are still super down is whilst also Bitcoin dominance is up, that's the exact same setup before we move into price discovery for Bitcoin. Every time. It's the same. So who's ever is getting nervous right now, it's because you probably don't know what's actually going on in these charts and you're just reacting initially to the day. And it's important to zoom out, you know? And if you ever do see yourself getting emotional and worried about what's happening here on these charts, remind yourself that you're a part of a community that could help you. Ask questions, you know, instead of being like, why are the charts going down? There's probably a more effective question to ask. You know, we're in a very volatile time right now, and you can't be getting so caught up on these day-to-day swings. Introduce yourself to our community. Let others know where you're at with your experience. And remember, I already have a free course that's available if you wanted to learn a little bit more about resistance, supports, Fibonacci retracement tool, moon cycle indicator. It's available, you know, so check that out. And if you're ready to take things to the next level, of course, I have my crypto mastermind course that'll take care of everything else. But right now, the fact that we got rejected on this particular level is telling me that I'm going to keep this ray chart in my focus for the next couple weeks, and just see if there's any developments moving through the final days of Saturn retrograde. Now, it's really important that we get to a couple of the macro charts. So we're going to be putting on the index chart for Bitcoin. Just want to show you. This was our monthly close for October, which was a lower high. Oh, this is messed up. Okay, that's accurate. So we did get a lower high on the macro, but on the monthly. But you can see that we've also, on these tails, we have all this absorption to the downside, and then we've actually cemented a higher close from these candles over here. So it is definitely the start of a macro trend reversal. This is not a bad sign, even though we did close on a lower high comparatively to the month of March. It's just showing us that, you know, November and December have always really been the big kick, and that's noticeable here with Bitcoin seasonality chart. So bi-monthly, though, is what I really care about. And look at that. That was our bi-monthly close. Big candle body pushing you much higher than the prior candle closes. And then when looking at the prior cycle of March and September double top, we are concretely above it. Okay. So what we're getting right now, even if I said we get that push down to 66 heading into this week, it's not the end of the world, because on these macro candles, that's an amazing closure. And then also we have the 3-month. We're seeing some resistance right now, but this doesn't close until January, so the new year. So we have the 3-month, 4-month closure at the new year, as well as the 2-month closure, meaning this month of November is sort of that middle zone. So what we would definitely like to see is price discovery in November. By the end of November, we would want to see a green candle for the month, but it's only November 3rd. We have a lot of time to go, guys. So let's look at the bi-weekly. We have a bi-weekly closing tonight. This could effectively turn into a doji. Doesn't really concern me too much because this push up last week was a really nice buyback overall, all things considered. And we're also looking at bi-weekly candles. So here we are far above the 13 EMA. That's looking very nice. And we're also above the 8 SMA on the 2-week. We're looking good. Weekly chart. This is a weird kind of spinning top deal, but I'm not going to put too much emphasis on candle analysis at this time, because ultimately we're in crypto and there were so many sell orders put on leverage at the prior all-time high. It was just, I knew it was too good to be true with the speed we were moving up. And now it's about getting through the election. And I believe you've heard me say it enough now where it's exhausting. It's November 15th. Remember that Scottie Pippen tweet? That's the best thing ever. If Bitcoin actually breaks out on the November 5th, like post November 15th, I need to remake a video with my video plus the Scottie Pippen tweet and just be like, this is crazy. Who would have known? Who would have known that Scottie Pippen was a wolf? But getting back to this, the weekly is also looking gorgeous because look at that 8 simple is crossing above the 13 EMA. So we have the 8 above the 13, above the 21, above the 34 after multiple back tests of the 34, and the 55 is still on its way up. So we have all of our EMAs and SMAs on the weekly chart in bullish posture, and they're also tilted to the upside. That's very good to see. Also, our RSI is by no means over stretched to the upside. We are not even close to overbought. We are looking good. 58 on the weekly RSI. You know how much more room we have? Look at where we were back during March. We were at 88 weekly RSI. That was too high. Over here at the peak of January 2021, first initial peak, we got to 94. And then we started to create this like bearish divergence around March, April, and the rest is history. But we have so much room to go on the weekly. Look at this. We could get to 90 over here, and we peaked at 90 over here. We're only at fucking 58 right now. There's so much room. I mean, 150K Bitcoin should be kind of where we start getting into the exhausted territory, 80 RSI in the weekly plus. That's not me saying Bitcoin is going to 150K. I'm just letting you know, based off my experience with all these indicators, I think Bitcoin would have to be around at least 150 in a fail swoop, like a quick move, for us to get 80 RSI in the weekly. So weekly chart's looking good. I mean, I don't really give a shit about this type of candle style right now. It's not concerning me. Obviously, it would be nice if Bitcoin could get bought up over 69K, and anything is possible in the matrix. So if we can get bought back up above 69,200 or 69,300 into this weekly close, that would look a lot better. Weekly, or the 5-day chart closes this Tuesday. It's not looking bad at all. All of our EMAs and SMAs are in a bullish posture. 3-day looks gorgeous. You see, there's really nothing to be panicking about right now. Yeah, I would only start wigging out if we started closing below 60 again. If we started closing below 60 again, that would look very shitty. But right now, this is fine. We're making higher highs, higher lows. All of the EMAs are looking good. We were a little bit too high up too soon on the daily and 12-hour and 8-hour charts. But when you look into macro, like weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, bi-monthly, it's looking fine. Nothing crazy going on at all besides just bullish setups. So what's going on here? Let me see. I think we should move on from Bitcoin. You guys know the story. What's Ethereum doing? Ethereum holding higher lows as well, but lots of chop. That's to be expected. When you have Bitcoin dominance getting above 60%, guys, expect chop. And when Bitcoin has a correction, it sucks the life out of altcoins right now. So if this is your first cycle and you're like, why are my altcoins so down? It's like, how many times have you heard over the past 6 months the word alt season or buy this altcoin or what, and like putting so much emphasis on this stuff and it not being told to you as venture capital? Probably 100% of the time, right? This is why every time I do a What I'm Investing in podcast, I'm always calling it venture capital and I'm putting it about 1 to 2% of my portfolio. Because if you're complaining right now that your portfolio is down, well, it's because you put too much chips in a very speculative casino. You need to be careful with that stuff. Now, we're pretty much looking exactly how we did in the last cycle. I want to show you something real quick that might be interesting. We have over here, this was your last cycle for Ethereum, okay? Cycle peak, selling climax, automatic rally. Look at the days between the automatic rally and the C19 crash. 260 days, okay? Now, just for fun, we'll take from this peak over here to where we are, 236 days. So with our current cycle peak, look at theta, great example. Cycle peak, the yearly peak, we're 240 days. So the development that we had between this major move to the upside right here to a large crash and being back near the bottom of our bear market, which we can see many examples in many altcoins, it's in alignment with the last cycle. So this impatience that we're getting right now, that's also something to be careful with, guys. Like, please be careful with getting impatient, because this big move that we just did is no different than this move over here in 2019. It's the same. From selling climax lows to peak high to the fact that we're down right now about 230 to 240 days after this peak that we recently just experienced in March. Yeah. In the Bitcoin perspective, look at how many days since we've topped out. Going on 240 days. This is the thing I was explaining before. 260 days. Now, if we got hit with the Black Swan event at that same time frame, that'd be crazy. I don't know if that's in the cards, but hey, be a wild thing to watch go down. Anyways, this podcast is getting a little bit longer than usual. I just wanted to fill this with as much value as possible the days leading up to the election, but I think we can see that Bitcoin has done pretty well on its recovery, and with it being up more and more and more, like going parabolic with Bitcoin dominance, that is why your altcoins aren't looking so hot right now. It's just the way it goes every cycle. But regarding the Ethereum situation, we are holding a support trend line as we speak. This is likely to be as low as we go, and it's a backtest on the 382 on the macro fib. This is really nice to see. And until we pop above 3,000, this is just going to be chop, as we've been experiencing now for pretty much 100 days since the ETF launched, by the way, which is wild. And I think I told you already, Bitcoin can be at 75,000 to almost breaking out to 80,000. And I think that ETH will still be below the March 2024 highs, because we see that in every cycle too. Bitcoin's initial surge, everything is still super down. Then about like 20 or 30 days, 3 weeks after Bitcoin breaks into price discovery, that's where you see the altcoins wake up. So it's Bitcoin price discovery is our trigger. Let's look at XRP. It's trying to hold that 50-cent level like a champion. Let's go over to this chart. Might be a little bit more informative. Nothing. Nada. Let's look at the monthly close. We still haven't technically closed a bi-monthly lower. We have everything on more of a recovery mode since July 2020, higher lows here and a higher low placed here in July after this green candle. Not what everyone wants to hear though, I'm sure. Monthly candles are looking fine too. Nothing closing lower than that 47 would look like shit, but right now this is fine. I do suspect in the month of November though, we will get a pop up, especially with Bitcoin. If we make it through November 15th and Bitcoin starts heading into 75, 76, 77 after that full moon, then I do suspect we'll probably see in the month of December, and I hate to make promises, but in the month of December, I wouldn't be shocked to see around a 70-cent XRP, given that Bitcoin can break out. And the thing is, once we clear 72 cents, it's a quick jump to about 140. Right here, these peaks. If I looked at it in a daily chart, you'd see what I mean. It's a lot more data. So that M right there, that's where we would shoot up to pretty quickly once we could clear 72. But we've been trapped now in this horizontal trading range an exhausting amount of time, just like we were back here. Also, if I measure from when we were here to this initial breakout, it was about 480 days. Let's take a look. From our initial peak up. Interesting. 480 days. So it's not any different than back then. And also the speed of which we broke out was pretty much in alignment with Bitcoin breaking into new all-time highs in price discovery. So I am not discouraged right now on the XRP play, but it's been a reason why I haven't been investing in XRP for a while now. I de-risked it a bunch back here, and I actually rolled over my XRP profits into a couple of other speculative venture capital plays just to play the game. Play the game, don't let the game play you. So really no more of an update on XRP. It's just in regards to what Bitcoin's doing right now. It's dealing with the burden of the tiniest little Bitcoin correction is like swinging the scythe at all the altcoins. So everybody's dealing with the same Grim Reaper, literally. Let's move on to total 2 just fast. Get through that. Okay, so you see what's going on right here with total 2. We have high, higher, low, low, higher, low, and a bunch of higher lows. And this looks very much like Ethereum's chart, and it's because this includes Ethereum. We did get a couple of rejections here at a little bit below a trill. So for some reason, it's like right there leading into $1 trillion, there's been resistance. And I actually have to admit that does not look good. And I'm going to show you why. I'm being honest right now. So don't take this personally. Don't get triggered. This is honest technical analysis. We have this first shot up into March where everything effectively topped. And then we come down to this level, bounce, 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 a lower high, kind of a bull trap, coming back to it. Quick break below is a sign of weakness, and then this is like your micro automatic rally to trap bulls again, and then an even deeper shakeout, right? And then everything pretty much bottomed around early August. Now that we've broken through and made this lower low from here to here, we're now seeing resistance at the same level we used to see support. And this was about 159 days going that way. Let's look at how many, let's call it 160. 160 days going this way would be putting us into like around the new year. So that's actually how quick though we can have expansion, because look at this. If we were to take from here to January 10th, which was the day that we were aligning that with around the breakout, so the next 70 days, look at from this peak to here, only 50 days. And we were able to move up 80% in 50 days. This market could do crazy shit fast. Okay. So here, from this back test, 138 days, this went up 750%. So if this bottom was to be by this week, and we pushed out 150 days, that actually kind of aligns. So what would that be, 136 days? Just try to remember that. Yeah, that's right. Literally around the lunar eclipse, dude. That's fucking crazy. So we can do it. It's possible. We moved up like that before. And by the way, right here, this was the start of the lunar cycle. It was right here on this crash. Bitcoin corrected like 55%. The altcoins corrected a bunch. We did move up for a double top, but I'm just letting you know that initial wipeout right there was because of the May total lunar eclipse, and the fact that we have the timing similar to where we are now correcting into the same amount of days, around 130 to 140 days, right around the lunar eclipse of March. It's powerful stuff. Synchronicity. It's like a total 3. Total 3 still holding higher lows, but getting this big rejection here around at 650 billion. Just want to pull a fib real fast. Oh, we're looking fucking good. Yeah, this is great. God, these buy and sell buttons are obnoxious. Like, where did that come from? All right, so we have swing high to swing low. We're going to double click this, make sure it is on a fib-based log scale. It is. We're on a logarithmic scale, and we have a rejection at the 702, quite common. And you look at this swipe down at the 382 plus the bounce. That's gorgeous. That's exactly what you want to see. A big liquidation, back test on a prior level before that breakout. And then now we're just really holding the 0.5 fib, which is ideal. You want that. You would not want macro closures below the 382. That's not good. But the fact that we're here right now, it's not the worst. And ideally, if we could break back above 718 billion, which would be a push up of about 20%, let's call it 25% for the altcoin market, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. So let's just say if Ethereum can break out 25%, that this would be in its process of heading into the next stage of this horizontal trading range, which would be like an SOS, a sign of strength. And I do effectively think there's a possibility of getting to all-time highs and then having a correction. I don't know if that's how it went last cycle, but that's a very typical thing. Yeah, look, last cycle, what happened was we broke above all-time highs, and then we had this really volatile back test. It doesn't look like much, but it's 35%. It doesn't look like much though, right? But it is. We back tested into the peak of the prior cycle. That would be very healthy. It would be great if we did that. But fuck, if we were to break out into a trillion, again, 1.2 trillion, like we did back on November 2021, that would look very, very promising for a quick surge. I don't know if we'll be able to make it to the 1618 this time around though. But I bet we did here. No, we didn't. Almost a 3618 on the linear pull. So yeah, it's too much. It's too high. These altcoins are they're all shit coins mostly anyways. So a lot of this is not the most sophisticated basket of the crypto altcoin, the cryptos. Speaking of 589 though, anyways, this does not look bad to me. I think the technical analysis walk-away that you're all getting here is the backtest on the 382 is very nice. After the rejection at the 702 in the middle of the golden pocket, followed by a buyback and holding support on the 0.5 fib. That's very textbook and completely normal. Now we're getting to Fetch, also called Artificial Super Intelligence Alliance. It's a mouthful. Let's go over to this chart. Please load. Wow. Okay. So we're just looking at this chart, all-time chart. Let's turn off all this noise to make it nice and simple. We have the 2018, like end of that bear market into 2019. Then we have the C19 crash. And from this area of the C19 crash to where we are today, this project is up 7,500%. So if you bought this in the last market cycle before we topped out, then just holding it still to this day is an amazing move. Now, we have been holding higher lows even to this bear market selling climax, which is also very bullish to see. We have broken into price discovery to the upside. So this thing is in price discovery to the upside still to this day. We broke above the AR, which means that we're currently we hit the SOS phase top, and now we're in an LPS at this stage here. Just a supply test, a last point of support or last test of supply. Doesn't really matter how perfect you are with this. It's just kind of the idea that you break out with an exaggerated move above your AR, your automatic rally. It's called a sign of strength, and then you have a back test. You have a mid-cycle correction. 80% move, big. Now it's had a little bit of a buyback, and I guess we're seeing somewhat of an inverse head and shoulders form, but I wouldn't get too fancy here on these altcoins with that sort of pattern stuff. It's not the most effective. But looking pretty good. We had this break higher here after the break of July, and we're holding higher lows. So let's correct this trend line a little bit. I'm going to give this the benefit of the doubt just to include all of these days here, which you can see it's not just a couple. It's like at least 2 weeks. And now we're back at that trend line. So I had that trend line drawn before. I'm not sure when the last time I looked at this project was, but the fact that it's had an 80% mid-cycle correction is enough. That's pretty dramatic. And now where we're at is about 200% up to backtest all-time highs. And I do think the 1618 will be hit in this cycle on this. So that's about $9, and that's a move about 650%. So this has already had an incredible bull run, all things considered. I don't know how much more you would want out of it. I am not entirely sure if this has enough juice to push into double digits and further. It's always possible. Right now we're at about $1. And if I look at where the 4618 is, it's about sitting at 6 to 7. So yeah, that 1618 is big. That would be in alignment with about the 5 to 6 spot extension. And on a macro time frame, that's enough. But you know, altcoins are crazy. We've seen some crazy shit with altcoins. It's just when I measure from the selling climax to where that would be, now you kind of see why I'm feeling the way I am. Like 15,000% is a lot, guys, from absolute market cycle lows to 1618. And it is possible. It could hit $10. It could. It's not the furthest on earth away from that now. But about 6 is where it starts to gas out. It's just you gas out a little bit and then you have one little run up for a week or so, and you could pop on that level and then roll over. But this is not something I'd personally invest in at this time because of how much it's already up. I don't have really any room in my portfolio to be making plays like this. This would have been much better to buy throughout the last lunar cycle. We're in the final phases of a solar cycle, and it's up a lot. If it was down here around the 236, I would have considered. I just feel like there's other opportunities out there. But this is a great chart. This did very well, and if you invested in this back in 2022 or even in 2023, congratulations. Stellar play. You killed it. Great job. Okay, now we're looking at Brett. I don't know what this bullshit is, but everyone wants me to look at it. I know it's a meme coin. We have very limited chart data. So first and foremost, guys, please, I know that there's trendy stuff going on in this world right now, but like, can we please avoid stuff that doesn't have at least a year of chart history? If it, I don't know. I know that there's like money to be made in this stuff and whatnot, but like when I quickly look at charts like this, I don't see anything special. Okay, so yeah, like at least a year of chart history. And like, where is this stuff even coming from? Like, is there some influencers out there that are telling people to care about this? I don't know. This is not impressive moves. 70%. It's just chop, you know, nothing bad. But I mean, the best opportunity here has you up 96%. So unless you bought this thing the day it was fucking launched, I don't know what's going on. I'm not sure what the deal is here. But a lot of people seem to want me to cover it, so that's what we're doing. This is discouraging for some people, but it's like, what can I say? Yeah, that's a bad break. Okay, so right here, I'm just going to turn this red. So we have first initial touch point, second initial touch point, third, fourth, fifth, a bunch of ride there, and then this red candle coming back up and dipping lower. And now we really have to hold this level of 6 cents. If this can't hold 6 cents, it's going to dip down to about 4. And that's another, yeah, but I don't know how that would align with what's going on right now for Bitcoin. Although, if Bitcoin was to move down to 66K, this will probably break below 6 cents in that move. And then when that happens, we'll have to see how Bitcoin reacts. But right now we have this like descending, broadening wedge pattern that's forming here. I don't think this lower trend line will be of use because I don't think this shit's going to come down that low unless there's a catastrophe. But generally, the fact that it broke this trend line here, which does have more than 3 touch points, is important, and we can call this the resistance at this time. 1, 2, 3 spread out, 4, and then a bunch of days where it's clear rejections as the price is descending. Now, I would pull my fib like this just to see if we hit the 160. Oh, yeah, would you look at that? We hit the 1618 on the swing high to swing low. Boom. Check. That's why I corrected so much. Okay, now we got something interesting here. So this is why I said, like, yeah, holding this level is important. We have from this swing high to swing low, and we're on the 236. So if this shit can't hold the 236, it's gonna double bottom. And I guess you can call the double bottom around 6 cents. So that aligns nicely too. I'm not sure what the opportunity is here, besides being a part of a cultural moment. For this thing to come back up to all-time highs, it would have to go 140%. Like, it's really not much. I don't really know what's going on here. What were we looking at last week? Was it Dent? Look at Dent. I just want to go back to this fucking crazy shit real quick. Look, even if Dent only went back to the AR, the macro AR of 2021, what we called alt season, 2,700 fucking percent. Mamma mia. So yeah, this is whatever. I'm not really sure what the huge opportunity is here. Besides memery, and I do believe memery will still exist for the rest of this cycle. Sadly, it's unfortunate to say. I was hoping that it wouldn't be the case, but it clearly is. And I guess 40 cents on the way up is possible. For those of you that want to learn how I determine my exit strategy targets, I have my exit strategy blueprint, which is built within my crypto mastermind course. And that teaches you how to use very basic gematria along with the Fibonacci retracement tool in both linear and log, and all of my like quick tips on gematria and decoding so that you could determine where these prices are likely to head next in price discovery. And you could do that with something like Brett if you're somebody who holds it. But naturally, the 1618 is a big target. Run those numbers, see if it makes sense. But with such a limited chart history, I've given you the play. Here's your resistance. Here's your descending support. It is I guess you can say, a descending broadening wedge, even though we have such limited data. It's just this megaphone pattern that's opening up more and more. And it is a bullish pattern, to be honest. But as for the upside potential, it's just all speculation at this point. And from the day it was I know there might be data that goes back to like February or something like this, but it hasn't been like the most impressive thing on earth compared to where this chart launched and where it's at right now. So again, I'm not really entirely sure what's going on here. Going to arc block. Okay, cool. This is a chart that's a little bit like Fetch AI, where we broke out into price discovery. And now we're back testing prior all-time highs. So I'm going to turn this into whoa, okay, really cool actually, because Arc Block was launched around 2018, I guess at the end of the 2 bull runs ago. And it didn't really have like an alt season. It didn't really do that. It kind of just chopped low. So it wasn't on the radar for the last cycle. And then out of nowhere, the October 2023 solar eclipse, the shit just shot up in a straight line. 7,000 fucking percent. That's crazy. But yeah, this would have been a long hold. This is like really a timing thing, because if you were invested in this back in 2019, you would have just been like bored out of your skull, right? And then this moment was glorious. So it's a timing thing. And a lot of people get discouraged and they sell along the way. That's why I say with venture capital, I don't care if I'm in the red right now, because this shit just happens in altcoins. And even if you only get like 5 out of 10 of them, who cares? You know, you're walking away with way more money than what you started with. So when you have stuff that could go up 2,000%, all you need is like 20% execution on those. The other 8 out of your 10 plays could be dog shit, could be in the red, and you could make so much money just nailing a couple of these types of moves. You know, this was 7,000%, guys. It's a lot. So now that this thing is back testing around the 888 is nice. We've already had about an 80% mid-cycle correction. But the determination of where this goes next is very, very speculative. I mean, the $15 mark is potential. Color scheme looks good moving into the year of the snake. Dragon and snake both have that green symbolism, obviously. Reptilian symbolism. So we got a little bit of that going on too. I do think I see a hexagon. I'm not sure. The logo is very, very tiny. It's trading around that pi anagram right now, the 134. So yeah, I mean, I think that this could push another leg higher for sure into 15. But the one thing that I would not also be shocked about is when this enters a bear market, for it to just come back and have that really prolonged, kind of jagged bear market vibe like it did. And who knows, it might miss out on the next cycle altogether. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with this project in particular, but the fact that it was so suppressed during people said XRP was suppressed, but look at this shit. This is April 2021 when everything was like much, much higher than it was here. The projects that were lower, though, still outperformed this one. So I'm not sure what the development was here that allowed for this expansion phase to come in. There must have been something isolated to just this project. But interesting, I wouldn't personally invest in this. Now we're looking at Beam. Okay, another very limited chart here. I do believe that we at least have it. Yeah, we have around 1 full year. This thing topped in March like everything else. It's down about 65%. We've had a full 77% mid-cycle correction. I want to pull a fib here because I think it will give us some answers. All right, so we're back testing the 236. This is a good level to get in at for those that are interested. A little bit of a break. I'm not going to do any trend lines on that right now because really all you need is this ray right here. I could already see it. Okay, you see? So you had all these rejections here. Finally, we popped up. We came back to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, broke below. Rejection, rejection, rejection. So this 20-cent level is the most important level for this whole chart. Then once it pops between where we are now and current all-time highs to about the 1618 is about 600% move. Only about 200% on retesting all-time highs. So I don't know too much about this project. I do think it's like number 92 or something in market cap, which is insane that it even has so much market cap with such a limited amount of chart history. So I'm not entirely sure what this is tied back to, but there are a couple developments that are looking bullish. One is this W that flipped into an M, but it's being back tested at the neckline and it's in alignment with the 236. And we've seen this be a rejection in the past, but because we're going to be likely flipping more into alt season vibes, the way that this is behaving around this level is so clean that I think this will be the last time it has to deal with this level, which is positive. So you could only get rejected at a level so many times before the bridge collapses and the liquidity floods in. But other than that, I can't say too much about this project. It's too limited in data. Nice rally up into the end of 2023, but everything did. Everything from October 2023 till around March did very well. So this is just riding the coattails of the Bitcoin move. I wouldn't invest in this either. Too limited chart history, not impressive moves. Easy chart to read though. Okay, now we're looking at API 3. It's been a minute since I've looked at this project. We have a pretty decent move into February off the pivot of last summer. Yeah, about 500%. Rejected exactly at the 702. That's gorgeous. So you see that's kind of the necessity for marking off that level when you're pulling fibs. Rejected at the 702, we came down to the 236. That's not the greatest thing on earth because, like I said, with the Ethereum situation, you want to hold the 382 or whatever situation I brought up. But we're trading around an important level, and I think at the end of the day, that's where this project has liked to come back to, right here. You can see all of these tests, and anytime we get below it doesn't last long, and the only time we really did last below it was during the selling climax. So you have buying climax, selling climax, automatic rally. Now we're in this supply test. It's fine. It's not the end, but not the most pretty chart at all. It's a pretty ugly chart. And very limited data too. But I'd keep this in mind right there. You see this level? break below, back test, back test, back test, huge correction, gravitated back to it. And then once we were not able to hang above it, this rejection was key. So this is a huge swing between $1.25 and $3.50. Big area to fill. And you can see that we've spent enough time filling it now that if we are to break above this level, I think that would be your not only an SOS, sign of strength, but that'll be your move into the next buying climax. Doubtful this will make it to 50 though. Very doubtful. I would entertain perhaps 25, maybe. Seeing things get up to the 4236 on a chart like this in this next alt season would blow my mind. It would really blow my mind. I would love for it to happen, but that would be mind blowing. Yeah, for this to make it up to 50 would be a 3,500% move. It's very possible. We've done it in last alt season for sure. But yeah, too much for something like this with this type of price movement too. Yeah, can't really say too much on this. Let me just kind of wrap up this analysis. Yeah, it's just really, it's about this huge swing. So one thing that could be helpful for those of you that have premium TradingView is you could add in VPVR and you could see why you're getting the type of rejections that you're getting. You could see where all of the trading range mostly is. So again, if you clear 250 on this, you have thin air until my level of 350 that I brought up, then you're going to have, a little bit of problems up until the 702. But once you clear 5, that's going to shoot to the sky. So VPVR is nice, but I gotta say, I don't love relying on VPVR because I rather learn just by visuals. Like I rather just be able to pull up a chart and be like, okay, I'm seeing all this across the screen. I'll know where my resistances and my supports are. It's a little bit more old school, but I think the old school methods build better foundation, stronger foundation, and make you a better technical analyst. So anyways, I'm going to wrap up this podcast here. We have a little bit of a buyback going on Bitcoin as I'm wrapping this up. We could very well see that $69,300 weekly close. We have plenty of time to make that go down. I'm not sure if there'll be a CME gap. There could very well be. Yeah, there will be. So if Bitcoin is lower than this like 69,000 level, we'll have a gap to the upside. So that's promising. If we could fill that up into the final moments of the weekly close, it would definitely look good. But still, that bi-monthly close that we had was amazing into the end of October. So I'm not bearish at all right now. Still very bullish, and I think altcoins are still in an accumulation opportunity. We went through this US selection thoroughly. I hope that I don't need to talk about it next week, but odds are there will be delayed results and everyone will want to know what I think, so I'll share whatever I can. It would be great if things just all go smoothly. Also, hopefully, if you're in a major city, you do your best to not be in very volatile areas. Keep yourself safe, keep your family and kids safe. Nothing wrong with getting an Airbnb or a hotel in like a sleepy little town an hour away. Just take care of yourself, seriously, things are very divided right now and people are going to get wacky. They already have been getting wacky and you just got to protect yourself. Stay safe. I appreciate and I'm grateful for every single one of you. I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your weekend in the Matrix. Much love.